The 9-year-old son of the king is murdered. The man found standing over the body holding a literal smoking gun is executed. There are those that say when something dies, something else is born in its place. I believe David Kingman's execution gave birth to a rebellion against the nobility. What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. Today, I am extremely excited to review the beginning of a new epic fantasy that I've been reading, Nick Martell's The Kingdom of LIARS. The name of the trilogy is The Legacy of the Mercenary Kings. The Kingdom of LIARS was published in May of 2020. Why am I only just now reading it? And more importantly, what happened to this book? First, why am I just now reading it? Okay, that's a funny story. I got an email through my website from Saga Press asking me if I would like the opportunity to review the arc for the Voyage of the Forgotten. The only problem there is I had not read the first 2 books in the trilogy. Never let it be said, this bookworm backs down from a challenge. I was excited to get the opportunity to review an arc for Saga Press. Honestly, it was the kick in the pants I needed to finally read this series. There was no excuses. I have the first 2 books on my shelves for no telling how long. And just to address the elephant in the room, let's talk about the corner of my copy here. My friend Eb sent this book to me a couple of years ago. She picked it up, she didn't mesh with it, and apparently one of her dogs didn't either, but she sent it to me to try out, and I am so glad that she did because this book was an absolute hit for me. Let me tell you why. There's a popular quote, "Dying is easy, it's the living that's hard." And that absolutely holds true for the Kingman children. Their father executed, their mother in an asylum. They've been stripped of their station, turned out into the streets, and physically branded as traitors. The one piece of good fortune that did come from this tragedy for the Kingman children came in the form of Angelo Shade. Angelo was part of the Watcher Division for the Scales, which I would describe as sort of a police force, a small military that worked to keep the peace in and around Hollow. Angelo stepped forward and offered to foster all 3 of the Kingman children to keep them together. The Kingdom of LIARS picks up 10 years after all of that takes place. This is the story of Michael Kingman and the 10 years since his father was executed for killing the king's son. The royals have turned their rule into more of a dictatorship than anything else. The rebellion has grown strong, and in fact, when this starts, the rebel army has started to surround Hollow. Michael Kingman feels it is his responsibility to take action. The reason for this is the Kingman family and the royal family eons ago were bonded to each other. This bonding of the 2 families was designed to be a checks and balance system for the throne. There was a saying very popular in Hollow that there would always be a Kingman beside the throne. Kingmen do not aspire to wealth or power. Their purpose is to serve their country and the royal that they are bound to. And this counterbalance of the 2 families was removed when Michael's father killed the king's son. With this shift toward dictatorship, that has only given the rebellion even more support, and its ranks have swelled and the rebellion army has started to show its force. Michael has decided his legacy is going to be clearing his family's name, reinstating a kingman by the throne, and returning Hollow to a time of peace. Michael decides the best way to clear his family name is to get information, and to do that he needs to rejoin society and start rubbing elbows with the lower and higher nobles once again. I actually consider this a coming of age fantasy story. Michael is about 18 years old. He's very young. He makes emotional decisions. He thinks in the now. He does not think ahead and think about the consequences to his actions and the things that are coming out of his mouth. He thinks he's gonna go in and con and trick these nobles. More oftentimes than not, he is the one that is getting played in these shenanigans. One of the things I liked the most about the Kingdom of LIARS is that there was not just 1 or 2 things I was interested in, but a whole list of things. Nick Martell gives us a great cast of characters. He introduces them slowly over the novel. Because a lot of them are young, we get to see a lot of really good character development as what's happening in and around Hollow shapes them and molds them and makes them grow up. Characters and their relationships to one another is a big deal to me because I am a character-driven reader. Another thing that I loved about this book was the world building. Now, this story centers around Hollow, but we do get some information about surrounding areas that does expand the world just a touch more for us, which means it could get even bigger in the next 2 installments of this series. It also means that Nick Martell could return to this world anytime he likes, whether it's about characters from this series, perhaps the descendants, and now that I'm halfway through the second book in the trilogy, I could even see potential for a prequel series in this world. So it's just big enough with the potential to get even bigger, and I like having those possibilities open. Another thing that I was a sucker for in the Kingdom of Liars was the society, the hierarchy between the low nobles, the high nobles, the royals, and those that are beneath them. I learned about the hierarchy of the society in 2 ways, present and past tense. As Michael re-enters society and begins interacting with the low nobles, the high nobles, and the royals, Michael starts asking questions about the night his father killed the king's son. He uncovers the history of a lot of these older families that I just found fascinating. But the one thing I took the most notes on while reading this book was the magic system. Fabrications. Fabricators come from the noble bloodlines, but that does not mean that every noble is a fabricator. There is a blood test to determine if you are a fabricator or not, but there is no test to determine what your specialization is. That is discovered when you are finally able to manifest your power as a fabricator. The reason why I took so many notes is because there were so many different characteristics around fabricators and fabrications. First and foremost, at the top of the list is there's a cost at doing this magic. Memory. There is a point where you can deplete your power, you lose all of your memories, and you've become a forgotten. Now, in the Kingdom of Liars, there were several fabrications introduced to the reader, and we got to see how those worked. There were also a few mentioned that I did not see used in this one, but I'm hoping to see them in the next 2 books. The main one that I am especially interested in seeing is a shadow fabricator. These are fabricators who are able to copy or mimic another person's specialization, and I really want to see how that works. I hope that I was able to tell you enough about the Kingdom of Liars to encourage you to pick this one up and give it a try. If you're a reader who enjoys reading about a long con, the Kingdom of Liars is for you. Do you like a good revenge story? The Kingdom of Liars is one for you. It's got everything. World building, found family, excellent characters, an interesting, yet depending on how high you go up, deadly society, really involved magic system. I don't want to call it complex because I would need to finish reading the other 2 books to see the full scope of it because we've just scratched the surface of it in this one. Rebellion, coming of age. This book has it all, and it's written in a way that it is easy to follow and keep up with. I know that sounds like there's a lot. I promise, even though it is fast-paced because we have this thread of the rebellion in the background, it is easy to follow. Probably going to be just like me and not be able to turn these pages fast enough. Have you read this series yet? Are you excited for the release of the finale on Tuesday? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.